Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the big news of the day. Today we are going to discuss phone tapping in India and its legality, along with its implications on right to privacy. But before we begin, we have a very big announcement. We are glad to announce that based on popular demand, we are bringing back Target Prelims 2022, which is a free crash course for those who are preparing for this year's prelims. As the prelims exam is approaching, our leading IAS expert trainers will help you prepare for current affairs through a 22-day crash course that is beginning from the 30th of April. In this crash course, we are going to cover the current affairs of all important subjects, and we are going to cover the important current affairs developments of the last 365 days, along with a few important topics from the previous year, because UPSC tends to ask a few questions from previous year's topics as well. So don't forget to attend this free crash course, which goes live on our YouTube channel from 30th April, and the sessions will be conducted every day between 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. So please subscribe to our channel to receive regular updates on Target Prelims 2022 free crash course. With this, let's get started with the big news for today. As mentioned, we are going to talk about phone tapping in India, its legality, and its implications on right to privacy. This topic is in news because recently an MP from Maharashtra, Sanjay Raut, has alleged that his phones were tapped by the Maharashtra State Intelligence Department in 2019, and he has even filed an FIR against the concerned IPS officer. Now he has alleged that the central government is trying to protect this IPS officer, and he has raised an issue that this incident of phone tapping has violated his right to privacy. So this recent development brings into question as to how are phones tapped in India and what is the legality surrounding it, and are there any checks and balances to prevent its misuse. In this discussion, we are also going to examine as to who is authorized to carry out phone interceptions and whether it violates right to privacy and freedom of speech and expression, which are guaranteed fundamental rights. But first you need to know what exactly is phone tapping. See, phone tapping refers to the secret or clandestine monitoring, listening and recording of telephonic conversation. This is done by state security agencies with the intention of protecting the security of the state and the sovereignty of the state. In the case of India, which is a constitutional democracy, phone tapping can be done only in a legally authorized manner, and if it is carried out in an unauthorized manner, then it would be blatantly illegal, and it can even result in the prosecution of the officer responsible for breaching the privacy of the individual. So now let's understand how are phones tapped in India. See, there are different ways and technological methods through which phone conversations can be intercepted by the security agencies. See, in the era of fixed landline telephones and mechanical exchanges, a physical wiretap had to be placed to route the audio signal for the security agency. So such wiretaps could be placed on the telephone lines or in the telephone exchanges to listen in to the conversation of those individuals who were being targeted by intelligence agencies and security agencies on the grounds of national security. Then later, when exchanges went digital, tapping was done through a computer. And now with the advent of mobile phones and wireless communication, it is possible for intelligence and security agencies to carry out direct off-the-air interception by using specialized technological equipment, which can pluck the air waves from nearby the targeted individual or near the base station. But such direct off-air interception has to be carried out as per established legal norms. Apart from that, as per the interception laws, security agencies work closely with cellular service providers, and these private telecom companies are responsible for assisting the security agencies in interception and phone tapping. But however, not every government agency can tap phones. Only few agencies and departments have been authorized to intercept phones on national security grounds. And it is very important to note that telephones and communication devices are listed under entry number 31 of the Union List of the 7th Schedule of the Constitution. So this clearly places telephones and communication devices under the ambit of the central government. But however, Under the provisions of the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885, particularly under Section 5 Clause 2, both central government and state governments are authorized to carry out legal interception of phones. Under these powers, a list of security agencies have been authorized to intercept phone conversations, and this includes state police and state intelligence department at the state level and 10 other intelligence and security agencies at the national level. This includes the Intelligence Bureau, Research and Analysis Wing, the CBI, Enforcement Directorate, Narcotics Control Bureau, Central Board of Direct Taxes, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, National Investigation Agency, Directorate of Signal Intelligence of the Armed Forces, and the NTRO. If interception is carried out by any other agency apart from the ones listed here, it would be considered as illegal and will result in legal consequences where the responsible officers can be prosecuted. The primary law that governs phone tapping in India is the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885, and Section 5 Clause 2 states that on the occurrence of any public emergency or in the interest of public safety, phone tapping can be done by the central government or the states if they are satisfied that it is necessary in the interest of public safety, sovereignty and integrity of India, security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states or public order, or for preventing incitement to the commission of an offense. Then they can legally authorize their security and intelligence agencies to carry out phone tapping of targeted individuals. But in order to uphold freedom of press and to protect the independence of the media, an exception has been provided under which journalists who have been accredited to central and state governments cannot be brought under interception unless and until it is established that it is in the interest of national security. The competent authorities must record their reasons in writing to justify why such a phone tapping was needed. Then to authorize phone tapping in a legal manner, Rule 419A of the Indian Telegraph Act, which was amended through the Indian Telegraph Rules of 2007, says that phone tapping orders can be issued only by the Secretary to the Ministry of Home Affairs at the center and by the Secretary to the State Home Department in the case of state governments. So the authorization for phone tapping has to come from the highest levels of the Home Ministry and the Home Department, and the order has to be conveyed in writing to the service provider. So this in itself acts as a system of checks and balances because the power to authorize phone tapping has not been vested with low-level officers. The authority can be delegated to lower levels only in case of public emergencies, which is also then subjected to review. But under regular circumstances, authorization for phone tapping has to come from the Union Home Secretary and from the Secretary to the State Home Department. In order to prevent the misuse of these tremendous powers, several checks and balances have been put in place, and the law is very clear that phone interception must be ordered and authorized only if there is no other way of getting the secret information. The orders for such interception will remain in force for a period not exceeding 60 days unless revoked earlier, and it can be reviewed not beyond a total of 180 days. The orders issued by the competent authority and the copy of it should be forwarded to a review committee within 7 working days, and at the central level, a review committee has to be constituted which will be headed by the highest ranking civil servant in the country, that is the Cabinet Secretary. He will be assisted by the Secretaries to Law and Telecom Ministries as members, and they will periodically review the interception orders issued by the Union Home Secretary. The same is done at the state level by a review committee headed by the Chief Secretary of the state, along with the Secretaries to the Law and Home Department, who will review the interception orders issued by the Secretary to the Home Department. Along with this, clear-cut guidelines have been laid out for the destruction of these audio messages and also to discontinue surveillance and interception after the required purpose has been served in order to restrict the prolonged usage of interception which might violate the privacy of the individual. So if the review committee is of the opinion that the directions are not in accordance with the law and if it is not in the interest of national security of the state, then the interception can not only be suspended and discontinued, but even the audio files collected as intelligence can be destroyed, thereby striking a balance with the basic rights of the individual. But critics and activists have always pointed out that phone tapping violates fundamental rights guaranteed under Article 21 and not just under Article 19. Article 21 provides for right to life and personal liberty, whereas Article 19 guarantees freedom of speech and expression and freedom of press. These basic fundamental rights could be threatened by the state if phone tapping is misused. This is particularly important in the context of the K.S. Puttaswamy case of 2018, in which the Supreme Court delivered a landmark judgment. In this case, the Supreme Court upheld right to privacy as a fundamental right that is enshrined under Article 21. There are always fears that the government could misuse these powers and use the intelligence and law enforcement agencies to target opposition, critics, and dissidents, not just to curb their freedom of speech and expression, but also to curb their right to privacy and right to life. So essentially, the legal and constitutional conflict is on the grounds of right to privacy and freedom of speech on one side and national security issues on the other side. So in order to prevent any blatant misuse of the law and protect individuals against such invasion of their rights, a fair and reasonable procedure has been established by the Supreme Court, which allows for phone tapping to be carried out only in cases of public emergency. All the checks and balances we discussed earlier, including the guidelines and norms, they were laid down by the Supreme Court itself in the People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India case of 1996, under which the Supreme Court laid out exhaustive guidelines that we discussed earlier to regulate Section 5 of the Indian Telegraph Act. The authorization process and the review process that we discussed earlier, they all trace back their root to the Supreme Court orders, which has set up a guideline to prevent the misuse of Section 5 of the Indian Telegraph Act. In this case, the relationship between right to privacy and personal liberty was distinctly recognized by the Supreme Court, but at the same time, it also recognized the need to tap communications in the interest of national security and public safety. So to strike a balance between the rights of the individuals and maintaining security and public order, the Supreme Court has laid down certain guidelines, and this has established a fair and just procedure to prevent the misuse of these extraordinary powers. But however, if the laws and guidelines are still breached by the authorities and by the ruling parties, then the authorities and institutions responsible for such illegal interception can be prosecuted in a court of law and can even be punished by the courts. So this brings our discussion to an end, and if you found the video to be helpful, do let us know by liking the video, by sharing it with fellow aspirants, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.